All right, Chase, thanks for joining us here.
Happy to be here.
Appreciate you coming on. Yeah, absolutely. Let's start out by telling us who you are, who you work for, and kind of what you guys do.
Yes, my name's Chase Fery. With Think Pro, we do graphics and printing solutions. So that's kind of all things in between. Kind of any sort of means of visual communication is something we try to do. So that looks like, custom polos, custom banners, custom
Got it.
pens, business cards. I mean, you see it, we try to make it here. So, it's a big goal of ours too. My particular role within this company is a brand pro. We try to refrain from being the whole stereotypical kind of sales guy, right? We try to build, personal relationships, and I think that's where me and then my colleague Tommy kind of really step in. So we try to be an extension of your brand, right? We try to help best we can, have you be seen, have understand what you're working on, what your goals are, and try to really immerse ourselves in there. And if that looks like promotional products, we're happy to step in.
Fantastic. And you've been doing this for how long now? In your old
I'm,
age, I can
I'm
tell.
I'm right. I'm coming up on 2 years now. The
Okay.
company has been in business coming up on our 19th anniversary, actually. But
Wow.
I've been apart for 2 years. Funny story how I came. I was graduated from University of Oregon, actually, and obviously we're down here in Tempe. But I had interviewed the owner here, Randy, online. It was all Zoom, and I had just finished up school. Didn't know a single person here. Didn't even know where I was going to be living. I hopped on a Zoom call with him and then the general manager at the time. Didn't know either of them. Interviewed, ended up getting the job, and I said, "What the heck?" So threw my stuff in my car, drove down here. Never saw the place in person. Never saw my apartment either, which terrible idea, but it all worked out great. Thankfully.
Good for you for
But
just being that committed to
yeah,
getting out of the weather in Oregon, I'm guessing, right?
that was a big leap. Get out of the rain. I do miss it sometimes, but sunny here. I love it. So no
That's
regrets at all.
awesome. Now, your
Yeah.
offices, you said, are in Tempe.
Yep. So we're in Tempe. Here we have we started off, we had two locations there, one in Phoenix. Unfortunately, that one burned down. It was before my time
Oh, wow.
with the company here. But, we saw it as a blessing, really took a pivot. And we started off with one small office here. We have a fairly large complex over here. We started off in one cubicle, ended up relocating within the same complex. And now we've really built ourselves out, taken up just about half of the complex here with all a bunch of different offices. So we have our design studio over here, obviously our giant print production facility in the back, screen printing, digital prints, paper prints, all that stuff. And then we have our customer service area too, where we do a lot of the client facing things like our conference room, sales office, and then our front desk.
Fantastic. I know in meetings with an accelerant where you and I've been attending, while you don't always like to be able to have to turn something around super quickly, it sounds like you guys really have the ability to do that where a lot of your competition doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, doing it all under one roof is definitely an edge we have compared to a lot of other places where they'll say, "Oh, we'll have it, in some time," and they're kind of waiting on someone else. Here, we can do it same day. Although it does, get a little stressful for us, right? We're happy to make it work, and it always is a great feeling too. I had just worked with Kevin with S4 real estate there to get something done within the hour. Crazy, great project. Yeah, we did some. I did some. Usually, I don't dip my toe in design as much because we have a whole department for that. But I was familiar with the background, so just sat down with him super quick, whipped something up, and then we had our printers print it for him on the spot there.
Wow.
Really cool to see. So he kind of saw the top to bottom process, which was great. And then you get to be that guy that saves the day, So that's always a really good feeling too. He was jazzed about it, and I know we were really happy here on our end. So big shout out to the production team for that.
That's cool. Tell me more about the design. If you've got somebody who maybe doesn't have a logo already, or they're putting on an event, or they got something going on, and they're like, nobody has design experience. We don't want to go to Chat GPT or
Hmm.
Fiverr or something like that. Is this something they can start by just with an idea with you guys and just say, well, want to sit down, we're putting this event on, like here's the name, can you help us logo it and then turn it into shirts and hats and all that kind of stuff? Or do you already need to show up with the design and then have your team, tweak it into your system?
Yeah, so I mean, typically it's a little bit of both. It's always great when a customer really knows what they want. Obviously, that really streamlines the production process for us. You know, we can whip it up and print it for them. You know, pending files look great and everything. So we do get a lot of that, especially with more kind of refined businesses that know what kind of approach they want to go with. But another big part of my role, and I think really where we step in, is kind of understanding their brand, like I kind of touched on earlier. And a lot of times not everyone has a logo or they don't really know what direction they want to go in, but they have that end goal or they have that event coming up. And then that's where I kind of step in and say, okay, well, you have a trade show. You're probably going to want to have a backdrop. People tend to gravitate towards things that are taller. So maybe a standing banner, got to have a table cover, right? And then I don't know, let's say if they're, you know, a plumbing company or, you know, mortgage advisor or something like that, you know, what do you like? What kind of corresponds with that logo wise, color wise? And I'll help with that. But we have our design staff too, free consultations. I think they really step in, do just a killer job with helping them out too. But
Very cool.
helping them best display their band. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, with is there an industry that you find tends to that you guys really either gravitate to, or you want that you find like, hey, you know, we really crush it for this industry because we have a lot of clients in that, and we, you know, like we really get it, or did you find that it's just kind of a mishmash of different industries?
I mean, I love working with everyone. I think we do find a lot of success just from, you know, a business standpoint on kind of the trades, you know, people that are going through a lot of volume. You know, that's things like t-shirts, polos, that they're getting dirty. You know, they got to go through a lot of stuff. So mechanical landscaping is always huge too. But I've been doing a lot of, you know, office supply stuff lately. So a lot of team polos is always great too. But large scale companies is definitely something we tend to gravitate towards. But, you know, I'm always thankful for the opportunity to work with just about anybody, you know, regardless of the size. You know, again, I like seeing people grow. You know, I've had the opportunity to work with people that have started super small, kind of like a father son team, just two people, and then, you know, they grow that out to 16 employees and they start to do some volume. So
Very cool.
not only is it great for us on a business side, but it just really always makes me happy to see kind of some people explode and, you know, find a lot of newfound success.
No, that's great. What
Yeah.
from a personal side, it's I think it's time now to, you know, upgrade. I've had the company just over 4 years. We celebrated our 4 year anniversary last week. As a matter of fact, I say celebrated. It was kind of a holy crap. We actually
Yeah.
turned four. It's
Right.
from my virtual assistant is the one. She was working on a project, and this a couple of weeks ago, she's like, "Do you realize that your 4 year anniversary is coming up on what was it, the 21st or the 20th?" And
Mhm.
I said, "No, I really hadn't given it a whole lot of thought." And she said, "You know, do you want to do anything for it?" And I thought, I think I do. I think we're going to throw some kind of a, a call it a birthday party company,
Something.
celebration
Yeah.
next month and do that. And I'll be in touch with you to talk more about, give it some giveaways and, hats and shirts
Hmm.
and whatever else we could do to kind of make it a big deal. I had a big
Yeah.
rollout when I first opened the company 4 years ago and had a lot of, tchotchkes and some giveaway stuff. Now that we've
Yeah.
matured, like to do something a little sharper. So I'm going to be in touch with you about that. It's time for some new
Definitely.
shirts for me as well. Now, if I
Hmm.
brought you guys, and these are not iron on, what's the other embroidery on here? So
Embroidery.
if I got this already from a company I used 4 years ago that's not even around anymore, can I bring this down and have you guys basically copy that image or turn it into a screen print instead of maybe this? And do some different things, and then we could look at some different hats and shirts. Can I actually put my hands on stuff, or is it more,
Hmm.
making suggestions and we go from there?
Yeah, so we have a whole showroom here too, right next to our front desk. So that looks like a ton of garments, ton of hats too. I think it's really helpful too. A lot of people are so, accustomed to ordering things online. They
Yeah,
see it, it looks okay, and they'll order it, right? So helpful having a showroom. You can come here and, like you mentioned, really get your hands on it, feel the fabric, feel the
right.
material before you're getting it, and then even try it on too. You get a better sense of what you're getting before you get it. That's something I really do appreciate about this office that not everyone has. Super helpful tool. And then artwork, yeah, if you worked with someone in the past, we're definitely happy to take on new projects too. Digital files typically are going to be a bit better
Okay.
than just pulling something off of a shirt. So if you have access to that, or a
Mhm.
digital copy of your logo, we can all day work with that, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely have those. When I started the company, didn't know really where to go, so I went to Fiverr and kind of played around back and forth. I got a super cheap logo for a super cheap price, and golf is certainly my kind of my brand here, and being in
Hmm.
Scottsdale, et cetera. Although we work Arizona and Colorado both, but
Yeah.
what about maybe rebranding? If I wanted to maybe change the logo up, would that be something I come to your designers for? Or do I need to go to a marketing company first and kind of bring that to you after the fact?
I mean, either option's a great route to pursue. It is great to do it all under one roof. I think that's definitely where we do shine compared to some
Okay.
other places. So obviously, I wouldn't turn it down. I think it's a great idea too, because we can really build it from the ground up too. Or even if you're already at that point where you have an established brand, kind of an established identity, we can kind of build off that too. So I think it's great. And then really to have that, face to face interaction with not only myself, but, the design team too, and kind of everyone here, whether that looks like touching the garments or having someone build your logo while you're there with them. It's a great tool to have and kind of really emphasize what you're trying to go or what your goal is and where you want to be. So I think building that from the ground up is ideally the best way to go.
Very cool. Being
Yeah.
a big golfer and being, as hair deprived as I am, hats are important to me.
Right.
And I don't, yeah, I find that I'll buy a hat online and it doesn't fit. It's too tall. I got a big head anyway. And I was
Hmm.
thinking over the weekend, coming up on this meeting, I really want to get down and see your place down there. I haven't been down yet. So many of our accelerator partners have been down, and everybody comes away going, "Oh my God, man, you guys have got an incredible setup down there. The ability to put your hands on and feel the fabric,
Hmm.
and try a hat on to make sure you got just the right fit." And
Yeah.
so, as you and I wrap up, I want to schedule a time to come down and actually have a one-on-one with you and kind of check out your space. Maybe we'll do some videoing down there as well as kind of hey, what it's like to work with the folks at Think Pros and what Chase Ferry's got going
Hmm.
on. If you're okay with that.
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah, and that's been a big push for us recently too. Is kind of pushing for that digital collaboration. We can obviously advertise ourselves to our following and our social media, but really display the brands and the people we love working with too. Has been
I
a
love
great
that.
push for us
There
recently.
you
So I
go.
think we would love to do something like that with
Well,
you
perfect.
too.
Okay. Well, we'll get that on the calendar here for very soon. Now, you guys have an
All
open
right.
house coming up within our Accelerant group?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Okay.
September 30th, I believe. We're
Okay.
really excited about it. Being as new as we are to Accelerant, but really going in feet first and jumping in the deep end. We're excited to host. I know Randy's really excited too. But we have a lot of ambitious plans. Whether that looks like catering, we're gonna do some live music, even
Oh,
talks of
wow.
having some dancers here too. So it'll be a good time. Oh yeah, we're
Okay.
excited. We're pushing really hard to call it the Think Pro experience.
All
So
right.
really trying to bring our client base, our accelerant partners in, kind of really immerse them in what we do, being as creative as we all are around the office. Just about everyone here has some sort of artistic background, whether it looks like music, painting, kind of everything in between. Someone kind of has a niche here. So bringing that all together under one roof and kind of having a good night for everybody is a big
I
goal
love
there.
that. I love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Very cool. Well, I think you give me a pretty good idea of who we should be looking at, kind of where you guys tend to niche, all the different products and services that you guys offer, from design to literally touching and feeling to the production to quick turnarounds. Is there anything else that you want to kind of promote while we got you here?
I mean, currently, not that I can think of. I mean, I'm just happy to work with just about anyone. So, I mean, if you or anyone may need some kind of promotional or just wants to be seen, have them give me a call. I'd love to chat with them. Love going on site too, seeing your shop, your office, kind of best displaying what you need or what I can do to help you out there. So, love running around, love meeting people. So, any opportunity is great for me.
I love that. That's great. And what's the best way to
Perfect.
get a hold of you?
Probably email, chase at thinkpro.net. Um, have all my contact there is a great way. I check that frequently.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. So by email better than maybe cell phone or just
Cell or text work great too.
okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Got it. And what's the number?
503 and that's my personal. Give me a call anytime. And then text works great too.
That's awesome. So anybody can get a hold of it. We'll be sure to put that on the bottom of the screen here, so we kind of wrap up the deal. Very cool. So have you bought a house yet? Now that you're down from Oregon,
I was
what's
just
the
gonna
plan?
say, I'm working on it too. I'm definitely trying to save up some money right now, but need some guidance on how that process looks. Just because I'm not too familiar. Didn't really
Mhm.
have a background in that, but I think I'm talking to the right guy there for that.
Well, you and I've talked about this briefly in the past, and I congratulate you, getting on at least thinking about buying the very first step. What
Hmm.
do I need to do? Let's have that meeting. And what I love to do with anybody who's thinking about buying a home anytime in the future is to have a mortgage planning session, one on one, just like this. We'll jump on Zoom. I'll have you do an application quickly. We'll do a soft pull credit report so it doesn't affect your FICO scores. Let's take a peek at what
Nice.
the scores look like from all three bureaus. Let's throw the debt to income ratio numbers up, your income versus what the current monthly debt is, if it's a car payment, student loans, credit card bills, etc. And then take a look at what a house payment would look like based on different price points. And then you can figure out, hey, listen, right now I'm paying, let's just say I'm paying $1,500 a month in rent. But to buy a place, I'm comfortable probably to 2 grand. Or, how high can I go? And being sharp, single guy like you are, maybe I can rent a room out. Just I got a buddy that maybe we'll take a look at renting a room out to, which will help offset the payment. So now I'm comfortable, maybe a little bit higher payment. And what I like to do on the screen, on a shared screen on Zoom, is really kind of pull the curtain back, let you see all the different things that affect your ability to qualify, how much of a payment you qualify for. If it's more than you're comfortable making per month in a house payment, then we'll bring that purchase price down a little bit and say, okay, here's your comfort level. What we don't want to do is put you in a situation to make you house poor. So it's really important. I have found if I can educate you about the process, about the numbers, where interest rates are, how the monthly payment's going to be affected by your down payment, the purchase price, interest rates. It really is all about education. So when you're ready and you feel like, hey, let's spend 45 minutes on Zoom. Let's go through that. There's no cost. There's never a cost or obligation for it. It's just a chance to help get you on the path to making a really good decision to buy a home here. And I tell you, your timing right now, sooner the better. We are in a buyer's market, which we haven't been in for a long time. It is amazing how conciliatory the sellers are being with regard to price reductions, to seller concessions to pay for things like not only your closing costs, which could be five, six, $7,000. The sellers many times are willing to pay that for you, but they'll also buy your interest rate down. I mean, interest rates right now are in the low sixes, and we just closed on a borrower whose first year interest rate will be five and a quarter. So his payment's going to be $500 a month less for the first 2 years because the seller's buying that down for him. So there's a lot of ways to get into a mortgage where you feel like, hey, maybe it's a little early, but man, when interest rates drop and everybody jumps in, and now the supply and demand has flipped from being a buyer's market to being a seller's market because of the demand of all the buyers that have gotten in. We're not going to see the same seller concessions. We're not going to see interest rate buy downs being paid for by sellers anymore. Things are going to change pretty quickly. So whether it's you got friends, obviously your age, you're super sharp young guy. I'm sure you're making good money. It's like, hey, listen, does it make sense anymore to be paying rent? And it probably doesn't. But again,
No, it doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah, I've definitely paid a lot of mind to that recently too. And, I think, well, maybe make that big step, and I think it's a great tool to have. And that's a one-on-one meeting. Is that right? Or is it a
it
group meeting?
is. Yep, it's you
Okay,
and me on Zoom
perfect.
together, just like this on a screen share, going over an application, talking about credit, income, down payment. And I tell you, you made mention about saving some money for a down payment. I did a loan recently for a gal. My wife's a kindergarten teacher here in Scottsdale. One of the other teachers came to her and said, "Hey, can your husband help me get a mortgage?" And I sat down with her. We talked about what her price point was. We put a down payment assistance program together for her that her entire out of pocket expense to buy this townhome that she bought for her and her son was $550. I mean, that was it. The,
That's
the realtor
crazy.
was able to negotiate with the seller to cover all of the closing costs. We did a zero down payment assistance program deal. Um, and she literally was in tears as we got this thing closed for her. First generation American, never thought she'd be able to buy a home, didn't know what was involved in buying a home. Everybody in her circle was telling her, you'll never be able to buy, you don't make enough money, you're Mexican American, you're first generation. And we dispelled all of those myths and helped her get into her first place a few
Hmm.
months ago. So she moved in over the summer before school started again, and she's doing great. So,
Wow.
so many programs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing to hear too. I mean, I love hearing stuff like that because I feel like just being at my age too, and kind of the social media side of things too, especially the TikToks, the Instagram reels. Oh, it's the worst it's ever been. You're never gonna own a home. You got to rent forever.
Uh,
And I'm sure you just don't like hearing that too. I hear it all the time. I'm scrolling on my phone, and this is how it's so much harder today to buy a house than ever before. You'll never own, or don't do that, or don't go that route.
I can't imagine, when you think about my wife and I will be married 37 years here in a couple of weeks. And
Hmm.
we bought our first house. Interest rates were 10%. Now, granted, they were a lot cheaper back then, but I was making a lot less money than I was. So, I mean, everything's relative. Yeah, it was cheaper. Houses were cheaper, but we were making less money 30 years ago than what we're making now. And I'm sure your industry is the same. If you'd had your job 30 years ago, you'd be making half of what you're probably current making, and houses would be worth less than half of what they are. So, most people, that misinformation and the TikTok, Instagram, all of the social media, the misinformation that's out there is really frustrating when you're talking to that first time buyer generation, yours especially, and your generation is waiting longer and longer to buy homes because they're like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not married yet, I don't have a significant other, I need that extra income to qualify. Maybe not. I just had a client I talked to last week, and he's not going to be able to qualify on his own,
Hmm.
but he's got two buddies that he went to college with. The three of them have been living together, and his dad said, "Yeah, I want you to talk to Christopher. Let's take a look at what your options are." And when we were said and done, the kid's got great credit, makes good money, not enough to qualify for a big enough house. He could buy a little, maybe two-bedroom condo, but mom and dad are going to co-sign for him. We're going to
Hmm.
throw their income on top of the application. And now he can qualify for a $450,000 house, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath. He's going to rent two of the other bedrooms to buddies of his, which will more than offset the house payment. The kid's going to be living for practically nothing because he's going to split the mortgage payment between the two buddies. Now he's responsible for the house and making sure everything gets taken care of. But for him, mom and dad were like, you need to buy something sooner than later because in 5 years and 10 years and 15 years and 30 years from now, that house will be worth so much more. And that equity, of course, is yours to take with you if you decide to sell. So I love that his parents get it. They understand real estate and the value of real estate over time. And I wish I could spend more time talking to, again, your generation, talking about the value of getting into real estate sooner than later. But again, I can only scream from social media so
That's
loud.
just good.
I'm getting drowned out by the naysayers, and that's not the
Yeah,
case.
and yeah, preaching on that's great to hear too. I mean, that's crossed my mind so many times too, especially like you mentioned, kind of in the social media realm too. Just getting some equity in a home, or even with your buddies or something. I mean, it's such a great idea
Right?
too, because I mean, I don't know if haunts me is the right word, but every month I'm paying rent. I'm like, geez, what's the point? Just get on out of here. And there's pros and cons to it, but I mean, just getting your foot in the door and starting sooner rather than later is something I'm trying to hone into myself too, right? So
Exactly.
I mean, just hearing you at these meetings too, every time, and the praise you get and how good of a job you do, it's
Oh,
great to hear, and it inspires me too. I think, oh well, maybe I do need to book a session, or I do need to book a session. We'll talk about that after this, but because I need to get my foot in the door, you got to make that first step. So I
yeah.
think that's so important. And one thing I did been meaning to ask too is in the program accelerant and everything, you're just absolutely no doubt the one-on-one king, no doubt. How do you manage that? What do you find that brings you the most success? Because the consistency and the volume is just amazing.
Well, I thank you for the compliment, and um, I think it probably starts with the motivation. I'm the one that's writing the check. So I need the
Right.
return on investment, right? So that right out of the gate, I feel that pressure when I stroke that check every year. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
got to get my money back. What's the best way to do that? And I've been in a relationship lender relationship, seller, well, like you were talking about. You like to visit a client, like to go on site, get to know who they are. And I do that and have always done it face to face with my clients, with realtors, financial advisors, CPAs, and attorneys, which are my top sources. It's always been a face to face relationship. Even if we don't do a ton of business together over the years, I'm always looking for opportunities that I can refer to a financial advisor, to a CPA, to an attorney, or to a realtor if I get an opportunity. And I took
Yep.
that same mentality, that same approach into Accelerant when I first joined. And I started out with it, Chase, I can't help you unless I know you, number one, know how good a guy you are, that you're from Oregon, you came down here kind of on a like on a whim. You're like, hey, I got a job. I'm bailing out of the Northwest. I'm going to go down to Phoenix and Tempe and all of that. And that it's fun for me to get to hear that and then learn
Yep.
about what you guys do, how you do it. That's why I'm anxious to get down and see what you do. So my strategy has been from the very beginning, get face to face, get one on one. Like you and I had lunch, I think over Brittle Bush when we first got a chance to get together, kind of heard your story. I take some notes on that. And then typically it's a one-on-one follow, 30 minutes, whether it's by Zoom or by phone, or maybe we catch a cup of coffee or something before one of our meetings, and just being very intentional about all of our Accelerant partners. And I have a virtual assistant who I hired 2 years ago because I found that I wasn't, I think, as diligent or as intentional about getting those meetings scheduled. And so I hired her. I spent $1,000 a month on a virtual assistant out of the Philippines, and she keeps my calendar full. I mean, quite frankly, I have 3 of these today. I've got 3 Zoom podcasts today for catch-up meetings, which I'm super excited about. And I'm happy to go out and meet you for a coffee or for a beer, or obviously for a cigar, you know me, or 18 holes on the golf course. But, a chance just to touch base, check in, what's going on, what's new in your world, trying to stay top of mind with the people in Accelerant for what I do. And then I'm a B2C guy, but just as importantly, to catch up with what you guys have going on. So that I can be talking when I'm talking to somebody later, and I'm like, I met with Chace earlier in the day, and they got this event coming up on the 30th of September. You're going to be going to that. You really need to catch up with him. By the way, you got our Accelerant breakfast coming up. You might want to reach out to Chace if you need to get some, freshened up material, or maybe a new table cover, or maybe you need a retractable pop up, whatever. That helps me promote you and keep you top of mind. So that's that's just been my commitment. And I have found that my return on my investment comes very quickly if I stay as engaged as I do. So, I work it hard, and I get the return as a result. So,
yeah, it's great to hear. And for our end too, it's definitely inspiring just seeing all that work get put in. It definitely doesn't go overshadowed. So,
well, I appreciate
awesome
that. And I know you'll see the same. You guys have a great presence. I like the way you guys are working it. We're seeing you guys at all the meetings, which is awesome. You got to be present, obviously. A lot of folks will, they don't show up for a couple of months, and we're like, hey, are they even still involved? And then out of nowhere, they'll pop in, and it's like, oh, okay, well, let's re-engage and find out what's going on, and share some successes and tell us what we can do to help. That's always the goal. Very
definitely.
cool.
Well, actually,
All right.
You've been a part of Accelerant sometime too. And one last question for you here: how can we best help you? What do you need from us on our end?
Good question. I think especially your generation, getting past the TikToks and the Instagrams and all the social media naysayers and spreading the word. I love when I help somebody, especially a first-time buyer, and then I get a phone call a couple of weeks later saying, "Hey, I was talking to Chace. He's a buddy of mine. He just bought a house. Tell me what I need to do. Like, is it really possible? Can I qualify?" And getting those personal referrals, whether if they're ready to buy, if they just want to figure out what's the process. Were you in the meeting last week when somebody brought up Loan Dad and that concept? And I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm quite comfortable how I'm going to implement that necessarily, but getting that parental advice. And my kids are older than you now, and the thought of what I did to help them get into their first house, they just kind of defaulted to, well, Dad's going to help. Like, no, you need to understand the process. And if your parents haven't bought a home recently and they don't know our current market, your family may be out of state. They don't know the Phoenix metropolitan market. They haven't bought a house. They don't know what financing options are available right now. So going to them can be a little awkward,
Yeah.
or the advice might not be current, and things are changing constantly. So, yeah, I kind of like being that lone dad where I'm going to give you the parental advice, not for my benefit, but more for education. So you understand what your options are. And then when you're ready, be there to help get you qualified, get you a below market interest rate, put you in a position to close quickly so that you can get the best terms on the home. So that's what we
Yeah.
do. So to answer your question, spread the word. Let me know who else I can help, who else has questions, who else is thinking about it. And just helping more and more people get on the path of becoming a homeowner is my goal for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, it's great
Yeah.
to hear too, and it's really reassuring too. You know, you're in good hands too. So I know it's a big decision to make. Obviously, you want to be comfortable with it, and just
Yeah.
me personally, you know, I'd like to be informed to the best of my ability before kind of make that big step. You know.
There you go. I think what you'll find after our mortgage planning session, the next time you get together with your friends and you'll mention, hey, I met with this guy, he owns a mortgage company, and he kind of got me up to speed with what's really going on. There
Mhm.
are zero down loan programs out there. We don't have to put 20% down. There's first time buyer programs that have discounted interest rates. I mean, you don't have to make a ton of money in order to qualify for a mortgage. I mean, it's, getting, again, get that education out, spread the word, or being able to call BS when somebody says, oh no, you have to have 20% down or you have to pay mortgage insurance. And that's insane. Hold on. That's not exactly the case. You know what? Let me have somebody I trust give you a call because he has all the right answers. You're making bad decisions based on bad information, or at least making a decision based on bad information. Let's get you the right information and go from there. So that's what I do. It's what I've been doing now for 34 years. And I, like you seem to have a passion for what you do, the people that you help, and that's certainly how I look at it as well. I love the clients. I think it's kept me in business as long as I have been because of the way we take care of our clients, and they know that we care. So I think
Yeah, that's great to hear. That's
leading with
awesome.
that, very cool. Well, so I don't want to keep you all day. I know you got probably a hectic one out there, and I want
Getting
to thank
there.
you for joining us on this. Okay, we're going to put your contact information across the bottom once we get this all put together. But until then, Chase, I will see you soon. I'll follow back up with you for a time where I can come down and we'll talk about getting some new swag for me, especially before our next accelerant breakfast.
Perfect, Christopher. I appreciate it, and it's always a good time to chat with you and
You got it,
catch
buddy.
up.
All right, talk to you
All right.
soon. Thanks.
Yes, sir. You have a good
Bye
one.
bye.